The auction room was buzzing with excitement, yet one horse stood there, almost unnoticed, amidst the glitz and glamour of high-dollar bids. Its coat was unkempt, its posture uncertain, and the crowd seemed to dismiss it with barely a second glance. As bids soared for pedigreed, highly trained steeds, the horse in question appeared as nothing more than a misfit, the kind of animal people would quickly overlook. But little did they know, this unwanted horse was about to change the course of one man's life forever. In a sea of horses that looked picture-perfect on paper, the millionaire standing in the back of the room couldn't tear his eyes away from this one. His peers, some of the wealthiest individuals in the country, watched as he made an unexpected move, a move that would raise eyebrows, spark whispers, and ultimately leave everyone wondering if he had lost his mind. The room was filled with the sound of auctioneers calling out bids, but for him, time seemed to slow down. With each passing moment, he grew more certain that the horse everyone else dismissed was, in fact, the one he had been waiting for. As the gavel fell on the last few bids, the horse, still looking slightly disheveled, was officially claimed by the millionaire. The other bidders quickly moved on, already thinking about their new acquisitions. But for him, this horse represented something much deeper than just an animal. It was the beginning of a journey that would take them both to places no one could have predicted. The decision to invest in an overlooked creature, who many believed had no chance at greatness, would soon prove to be one of the most remarkable stories of redemption, triumph, and extraordinary rewards. What the millionaire and the horse didn't know at that moment was that their paths had already been set on an incredible collision course. The millionaire had been searching for something more than just an asset to add to his collection. He was looking for a challenge, something that would push him in ways no amount of money or success ever had. He had everything anyone could ever dream of: wealth, power, and recognition. But something was missing. He longed for an adventure that would make his heart race in ways that business deals never could. But he didn't know that this horse, this ragged underdog, was about to give him exactly that. The next few weeks were a blur of training, frustrations, and early mornings as the millionaire worked with the horse. He was warned by experts, told that it would be a waste of time, that this horse was beyond saving. But there was something about its spirit, something raw and untamed, that spoke to him. He poured everything into it: time, effort, and his unwavering belief that with the right care, even the most broken creatures could rise to greatness. It wasn't easy. Every day seemed to present a new challenge, and more than once he questioned whether he had made the wrong choice. Was he chasing a dream that would never come true? But then something changed. The horse, whose movements had once been hesitant and awkward, began to respond. It was subtle at first, small improvements here and there, but it was enough to ignite hope. And that hope grew stronger with every session. There was a moment, just a few months after the auction, when the horse made a leap that would forever solidify its place in history. But the question still lingered. Could this unlikely team truly make it all the way? Could the horse that no one wanted, the one everyone had passed over, become a champion? The millionaire wasn't in it for the glory or the fame. No, he had already tasted that. He was driven by something much deeper now, a need to prove that sometimes the most extraordinary rewards come from the most unexpected places. And as for the horse, it was no longer the ragged, discarded creature that had been overlooked at auction. It had become something more, a symbol of resilience and the incredible power of second chances. But would it be enough? The moment of truth was approaching, and everyone, including the millionaire, knew that the coming days would change everything. Would this horse, once thought to be a hopeless cause, stand tall among the best of them? Would the millionaire's gamble pay off in ways no one could have predicted? Or would their story end before it even truly began? As the gates to the competition opened and the crowd's roar filled the air, The millionaire, along with his horse, stood at the starting line. The journey that had begun with doubt, skepticism, and hard work was now reaching its peak. What lay ahead could either confirm their wildest dreams or shatter them forever. Only one thing was certain: no one in that arena would ever forget the horse no one wanted, and the millionaire who believed in it. As the days turned into weeks, the millionaire's life began to revolve more and more around the horse. Despite the doubts, despite the whispering naysayers who told him to cut his losses, he could feel something powerful unfolding. He spent hours in the stables, pushing the horse through rigorous training, refusing to give up when others might have. The bond between them was undeniable, a silent understanding that deepened each day. But it wasn't just about the horse anymore. It was about proving something to himself and to the world, that the underdog could rise to the top against all odds. Yet, as much as he poured into this animal, there was a nagging feeling that lingered in the back of his mind. Was he simply wasting time? Was this horse really the diamond in the rough that he believed it to be? Or was he blinded by some misplaced hope, a desire to make something extraordinary out of the ordinary? Doubts crept in when he least expected them, making the nights longer and the days more uncertain. His business empire, already immense and demanding, seemed like a distant memory, and yet the success he had once valued so much no longer felt like the answer to his happiness. He was chasing something bigger now, a personal redemption he wasn't fully able to articulate. The horse wasn't just an investment. It was a reflection of his desire to do something meaningful, something that mattered beyond wealth. At the same time, the horse seemed to struggle against its own past. It had come from a place where it had been ignored, pushed aside, and treated as expendable. It had no trust in humans, no understanding of their intentions, and certainly no love for the world it was now thrust into. Every day was a battle, as if it was trying to outrun the memories of its old life, the life that had nearly broken it. The millionaire understood this. On some level, he had been a product of his own broken past, a past filled with mistakes and missteps. But neither he nor the horse could outrun the ghosts of their histories. They were both marked by their previous struggles, each determined to prove that they were more than what people saw on the surface. One night, as the moon cast a pale glow over the paddock, the millionaire sat in the bleachers, watching the horse trot around the arena, its movements graceful, though still imperfect. For a moment, the millionaire could almost see it, the flash of a future where they both triumphed. A moment of glory that seemed so close, and yet out of reach. Just as the horse took another lap, something unexpected happened. It stumbled. Not just once, but twice, its legs giving way beneath it, as though all the progress they had made had suddenly unraveled in an instant. The millionaire leapt to his feet, his heart racing, rushing to the horse's side, his mind spinning with concern. Could this be the end? The moment where their journey faltered? The vet called in immediately, reassured him that it wasn't a serious injury. But the damage was done. Both the horse's body and the millionaire's spirit were shaken. That night, as he lay awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling, the questions returned with more force. Was this a sign? Was the horse just too damaged to succeed? The millionaire had faced failures before, but something about this felt different. The stakes were higher now. He wasn't just betting money on an investment. He was betting his very sense of purpose, his belief in something greater than himself. He couldn't afford to lose, not now. But what neither of them realized was that the real test wasn't the one they had been preparing for. In the quiet corners of the world, whispers began to spread about the millionaire's decision to buy the unwanted horse. Some found the story inspiring proof that anyone, no matter their background, could rise from the ashes. Others, however, began to see it differently. Behind the admiration lay a darker undercurrent, an undercurrent of doubt and envy. People began to question the millionaire's motives. Was this about redemption, or was it simply a publicity stunt to claim a moment of glory? Was he just trying to prove something to the world, or was there something deeper, more sinister at play? It wasn't long before a rival, someone with a vested interest in seeing the millionaire fail, took notice. This rival was a seasoned horse trainer, known for his sharp eye and ruthless competitive nature. He had seen the millionaire's rise to fame, and he didn't like it. What was it about this man, someone who had achieved so much in business, that gave him the audacity to wade into the world of horse racing? A world that had always been his domain? The millionaire was an outsider, and outsiders, in his mind, never belonged. He began to subtly undermine the horse's progress, spreading rumors and casting doubts on the millionaire's ability to succeed. In the world of high-stakes horse racing, image was everything. A single misstep could destroy a reputation. Despite the growing pressure, the millionaire refused to back down. Every whisper, every challenge only fueled his determination. He knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but neither he nor the horse had come this far to quit now. They were in this together, and whatever lay ahead, they would face it head-on. However, as the rival's influence spread, the millionaire was forced to confront the reality of the stakes he was truly playing for. This wasn't just a race to win, it was a battle for respect, for legacy, and for something far greater than a simple victory. As the race day drew closer, the tension grew unbearable. The horse had recovered from its earlier stumble, but the question still lingered. Would it be enough to stand toe-to-toe with the competition? Would the millionaire's faith and hard work truly pay off? Or would everything they had worked for come crashing down in the blink of an eye? With every passing hour, the mystery of the upcoming race deepened. No one could predict what would happen next, and as the crowd gathered at the track, their anticipation was palpable. Would this be the moment when the millionaire and his horse proved the doubters wrong, or would they be left to wonder what might have been? The answer was waiting just beyond the horizon, and no one knew for sure how the story would unfold. The day of the race had arrived, and the atmosphere at the track was electric. Crowds filled the stands, the air charged with anticipation as the horses were paraded to the starting gates. The millionaire stood at the edge of the paddock, his eyes fixed on the horse he had bet everything on. There was an undeniable tension in the air, not just from the race itself, but from everything that had led up to this moment. His rival, the seasoned trainer, stood a few paces away, wearing a smug grin that seemed to suggest he already knew how this would end. To the outside world, the millionaire was just another rich man with a hobby, a fleeting desire to be a part of something grand. But deep down, he knew this race meant more than just the victory. It was a test of everything he believed in, of everything he had worked for. This was the moment of truth. Behind the scenes, however, a different drama was unfolding. As the horses were being readied, the millionaire's horse, a creature that had fought tooth and nail for every inch of progress, began to show signs of distress. The once confident movements were now erratic, the animal's legs trembling slightly. The millionaire's heart sank. Was this the culmination of everything they had worked for? A single crack in their progress, a moment of weakness that would define them forever? His hand tightened around the railing, his mind racing. The rival trainer, seeing the horse's unease, gave a subtle nod to one of his associates in the stables. There was no doubt in his mind that this was his chance. The whispers about sabotage, about things not being as they seemed, had already started to circulate, and now it seemed like those whispers were becoming more than just rumors. But before he could act on his suspicions, something strange happened. The horse, seemingly aware of the moment's gravity, suddenly straightened its posture. The trembling stopped, and its eyes met the millionaire's with a spark of determination. It was as if it had heard his silent plea, felt the weight of the moment, and made a decision. For the first time in what seemed like forever, the millionaire allowed himself to breathe, even if just for a moment. Maybe, just maybe, they had a chance. As the jockey mounted the horse and led it toward the starting gates, the millionaire's confidence began to return, though the unease still lurked in the back of his mind. The rival trainer, however, wasn't one to back down easily. Unbeknownst to the millionaire, he had made some backroom deals, pulling strings in ways that would turn the race in his favor. There were rumors of tampered equipment, whispered deals that suggested the odds had been stacked against the millionaire's horse from the start. Yet the horse had shown resilience before. It had overcome obstacles and defied expectations. This race would be no different, or so the millionaire hoped. As the gates flew open and the horses thundered down the track, the crowd erupted into cheers. The millionaire's horse, still in the middle of the pack, held steady. For a moment, everything felt like it might finally fall into place. But then, a sharp movement caught his eye. The rival's horse, a sleek and polished competitor, veered dangerously close to the millionaire's steed. It wasn't an accident. The maneuver was deliberate, a calculated attempt to force the underdog off balance. The crowd gasped as the horses jostled, and for a brief, horrifying moment, it seemed like the millionaire's horse would fall. But against all odds, the horse regained its footing, its powerful legs pushing forward with a speed that shocked everyone. The tension on the track escalated, the horses racing toward the final stretch. The millionaire's heart raced in sync with the galloping hooves. This wasn't just a race anymore. It was a battle. And then, as the horses neared the final bend, something unexpected happened. The rival's horse, the one that had been so aggressive, suddenly faltered. It slowed, as if something was wrong, something that had gone unnoticed by the jockey until it was too late. The crowd erupted into confusion, and the rival trainer's face twisted in disbelief. His perfect strategy, his calculated plan to destroy the millionaire's chances, had backfired. It wasn't just a mechanical failure, nor was it a mistake in judgment. It seemed as though the horse had been tampered with somehow, and the sabotage that the millionaire had feared had come to life. In that split second of chaos, the field was thrown wide open. The race, which had seemed so certain just moments ago, was suddenly a game of chance. But the millionaire's horse wasn't done yet. With a surge of strength, the horse found its stride, accelerating toward the finish line with a newfound fire. Its every muscle, its every move, seemed to defy the odds. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the horse, once written off as an underdog, closed the gap between itself and the leaders. The millionaire could hardly believe what he was witnessing. Every nerve in his body tingled with anticipation as the finish line drew closer, and for a fleeting moment, he thought he might finally get the redemption he so desperately sought. But just as victory seemed within reach, another twist unfolded. The rival trainer, seeing his chances slip away, did the unthinkable. He rushed forward from the sidelines, his expression twisted in fury, his hands reaching out toward the jockey of the millionaire's horse. It was a desperate, last-ditch attempt to stop the inevitable. The crowd gasped in shock, and the millionaire's heart stopped as he watched the rival's hand swipe dangerously close to the reins of the horse. In that moment of chaos, the race, the horses, the crowd, all of it seemed to blur into one disorienting haze. The millionaire could see his horse surging forward, but he could also see the rival trainer's desperate move. Everything hinged on what happened next, and no one, not even the millionaire, knew how it would end. Would the horse triumph over the sabotage, or would the rival's bitter jealousy destroy everything? The moment stretched out, pregnant with uncertainty, as the finish line neared. Would it be the horse that no one wanted, or the ruthless ambition of a man who had everything to lose? No one could say for sure. In the final stretch, everything seemed to blur together: the pounding hooves, the breathless crowd, and the overwhelming chaos of the rival trainer's interference. For a split second, it seemed like the millionaire's horse might falter, that the sabotage had worked. But then something incredible happened. With a burst of speed that defied all expectations, the horse shot forward, leaving the others behind. It was as if the animal had tapped into some hidden reservoir of strength, fueled not just by the training and the care it had received, but by the unshakable belief that it could achieve greatness. The crowd erupted into a frenzy, their cheers a blur in the millionaire's ears as he watched, heart racing, unable to believe what he was seeing. His horse, the one no one had believed in, the one everyone had written off as a lost cause, was now in the lead. The rival trainer, helpless and enraged, could only watch as the underdog surged past, leaving his perfectly trained horse in the dust. The finish line was in sight, and every muscle in the millionaire's body tensed as he willed his horse to cross it first. With a final powerful stride, the horse broke through the tape and crossed the line, securing an unbelievable victory. It wasn't just the triumph of the horse, it was the culmination of everything they had fought for. The millionaire, once known for his cold, calculated business moves, had been on the edge of losing it all: his money, his reputation, and his belief in something more. But now, as the horse stood tall, triumphant, amidst the cheers of the crowd, he realized that this was the moment he had been waiting for. Not just the victory, but the journey that had led him here, the bond with the horse, the fight against doubt, and the belief that sometimes the greatest rewards come from the most unexpected places. As the millionaire stood in the winner's circle, his heart swelling with pride, he turned to look at the rival trainer. The man's face was contorted with rage, and for a moment, there was a flicker of satisfaction in the millionaire's eyes. But then, something strange happened. The rival trainer's demeanor shifted, and instead of retreating, he stepped forward, extending a hand to the millionaire. The gesture, though begrudging, was an acknowledgement of what had just transpired, an understanding that, for all his sabotage and manipulation, the best horse had won. The millionaire hesitated, but then, realizing that this moment wasn't about defeating his rival, he shook the trainer's hand. It was a quiet moment of humility amidst the chaos of victory. And in that handshake, the millionaire understood something profound. True success wasn't about crushing your competition. It was about rising above it. It was about believing in something, even when no one else did, and persevering when everything seemed stacked against you. But the twist wasn't over yet. As the millionaire walked away from the race, his mind buzzing with excitement and relief, he was approached by a man in a dark suit. The man introduced himself as a representative of a prestigious racing syndicate, one that had been keeping a close eye on the millionaire's journey. They had seen how he and the horse had defied the odds, and they were ready to offer him a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The millionaire was taken aback. He had always played by his own rules, but now, it seemed, the world was offering him something bigger than he could have imagined. A new chapter was about to unfold, one where the stakes were higher, but the rewards were greater. As the day drew to a close and the millionaire looked out over the track, he realized that this was just the beginning. The horse had shown him that anything was possible, that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you can rise again. And in doing so, the millionaire discovered a truth he hadn't expected. The real reward wasn't the fame, the money, or the success. It was the journey, the struggle, and the victory of believing in something when no one else did. And that, he knew, was worth more than anything money could buy. In the weeks that followed, the horse's legacy grew, and the millionaire's life took on a new direction. They became more than just a team, they became a symbol of hope, perseverance, and the extraordinary power of second chances. But as for the rival trainer, his reputation never fully recovered. The scandal of his interference had spread, and his underhanded tactics had cost him more than just the race. He was left to ponder the difference between winning at any cost and truly earning a victory. The millionaire and his horse had won, but it was more than just a race. It was a reminder that sometimes the world's greatest successes aren't defined by the finish line, but by the moments of strength, character, and resilience that shape the journey. And as the millionaire looked down at his horse, standing proudly beside him, he knew that together they had conquered something much greater than any race. They had found redemption, and in doing so, had proven to the world that even the most unlikely heroes can become legends.